My name is Rob Streck, and I am proud and honored to be the sheriff of Montgomery County, Ohio. So I think it's fitting that on the National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, I'm here to talk about our first responders and what we were doing and are doing with Narcan. So around 2013 and 14, we were knee deep in this crisis. People didn't realize we were knee deep in this crisis yet, but we were. So night after night, our deputies would get dispatched to overdoses. And you got to remember, this was early on, so there wasn't a whole lot of things to tell families out there. So when someone was removed, then that left our deputies there with loved ones to hear how many times they've called for help, how many times their loved one has overdosed, and it went on and on from there. So when COAT was developed, it was a godsend for law enforcement. Fire EMS too, but law enforcement especially. We finally had that place to tell people, here's who you need to contact. So with that, I would like to personally thank everyone involved with COAT. I was lucky enough to be there since the beginning and be on the backbone committee since its inception, and still proud to be part of the COAT. But I would like to thank you for everything COAT has done. So in 2017, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office started carrying Narcan. We have to thank the city of Dayton. The Dayton Police Department was obviously one of the most affected agencies in our area, and they were kind of at their wits' end, and the idea came up with, well, let's put this in the hands of law enforcement, which was not being done at the time, and they kind of spearheaded that project with the sheriff's office and with a couple other agencies. So when we started carrying naloxone, I will tell you, it was not very popular. We received many more negative comments than we ever did positive. We got into the silly discussion about taxpayers' money and the whole addiction versus personal choice debate. Our answer to that was very simple. We are sworn to protect, and if you can give us something that all we have to do is spray a nasal mist into someone's nose that will save them, we will most certainly do it. I've said it many times, I say it everywhere I go. If one of my loved ones is laying somewhere because they ingested an opiate and law enforcement gets there and chooses to purposely not administer such an easy and usable drug to counteract the effects of the opiates, I will be beside myself and outraged. So since 2017, we have used Narcan hundreds of times per year. There were several months in 2017 where the medics would arrive on the scene and need to take ours from us because they needed to still get down to the hospital and refill their bag and their supplies. Luckily, we are past those days, and there seems to be an adequate amount out there, and now, because of the announcement today, there's going to be even more. So when we started using Narcan, we really did fear that our deputies and our corrections officers wouldn't buy into the program. It ended up being the exact opposite. We found out through people who our employees had helped that they had actually been now following up with them. We had deputies actually going to houses and reminding people of their appointments. And we didn't even know they were doing that until they told us that. So it was so bad that once again you had a bunch of law enforcement officers who can tend to be a little grumpy when you change what their responsibilities are or what they're going to do, that jumped into this program with both feet and continue to be happy to carry this with them. The Narcan naloxone program worked for law enforcement. So we began using dispatch data, we used coroner's data, we used citizens' complaint, we used everything we had to track where the overdoses were occurring. Well, it didn't take much to figure out that businesses were highly affected with this problem. Why? Opiate addiction is such a strong addiction, the individuals would stop at the first location they could find to use the substance they had just purchased. Obviously, most of the time, that ended up being a gas station, grocery store, convenience store, places like that. When we would get there, the managers or the owners would often ask, what can I do? Where can we get training in this? Luckily, by that time, COAT was in place and we had resources to tell them. Still not quite enough. These boxes will save people's lives in our community. We would love our local business partners to get on board with this and place them in your business where anyone who is willing to help someone suffering from an overdose can get to it, administer. All you're doing is putting mist in someone's nose. It is a very simple procedure that saves people's lives. So we are here. I am here as the sheriff of this county to ask the business partners, give COAT a call, get on board with this. Without getting into the whole addiction versus personal choice debate, the main takeaway is simple, and it's this takeaway we've told everybody we talk to about this. This may be the time where the individual decides it is time to change my life. Every one of us in here can tell you success stories. We deal at the sheriff's office with 2 individuals that are a success story that are now causing and doing great things for other inmates in our jail. And once again, it's because people believed in them and they were able to get through the system. So with that, I want to thank COAT again. I want to urge our community to get involved in this. It is a very simple way to probably save lives.